Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Everybody, just a quick note, we are currently live.
Thanks very much. And welcome back, everyone. While we're waiting for quorum, I'll just pull up our agenda. And we need 6 for quorum, is that right, Alicia? Okay. While we're waiting for our 6th, I'll just give advanced apologies that I may have to mute myself now and then. I'm recovering from one of those illnesses going around. So if I get a little too wheezy and need to cough, I'll just spare it being broadcast into all of your ears.
Hard to keep up with what's happening out there.
Absolutely.
And public health policy has just thrown us to the wolves, I think. It's,
Also, I will have to leave 12:30. So sorry about that.
No worries. I'd heard that, Yasmina. Thank you so much for letting
Okay.
us know.
Seeing that we have 6, we can begin.
Oh, where's our 6th?
Well, we have Larry, Brenna,
Oh,
Miranda.
geez,
Yeah, it's you.
I can't count. Sorry. Let's begin then. So call to order at 12:03. First, let's begin with our land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect that we're on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory. And this land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bao'ting. Bao'ting is home of Garden River First Nation, Machiwana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. So we'll begin with the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting. Those are included in your package. Do I have a mover for the minutes? Moved by Larry, seconded by Donna. All those in favor, please indicate your consent. The motion carries. Next item is the declaration of any pecuniary interests. We have already identified Miranda Bouchard for item 5.2, Brenna Thomas for item 5.12, Yasmina Jovanovic for items 5.9 and 5.12. So with that in mind, are there any other declarations? Seeing none, we will proceed to the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover? Moved by Miranda, seconded by Brenna. Thank you both very much. And now open for discussion. And we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, please indicate your consent. Anybody opposed? Similarly, indicate your intent. Motion carries. Now we move on to business arising. We have covered items 5.1 through 5.6 at our previous meeting. I did want to alert the committee members to the fact that Alicia has been following up on requests from the committee from our last meeting. So you'll see in page 163 of your package that Fringe North has updated their financial statements for 2022-23 as requested. Similarly, on page 243, you'll find that the Sioux Symphony Orchestra provided audited financials for their year-end June 30th, 2023, as requested. And further updates and requests have gone out, and we hope that there will be responses soon enough for our next meeting. So with that in mind, we'll move on to item 5.7, which is the application from the Musical Comedy Guild. So the Musical Comedy Guild is a not-for-profit dedicated to producing musical theater, entertainment, and training and showcasing local talent in its 60th year. They are requesting $25,000. And these funds are to support the stabilization of the organization as it comes out of a tumultuous period following the COVID pandemic, where it had to seek a new venue for storage and rehearsal space. So for their season, their estimated attendance is over 2,500, with an estimated participant number exceeding 50. They have indicated that their project will fulfill all of the cultural plan impact priorities. And with respect to marketing of their season, they are promoting via local news media, through press releases, social media, particularly their Facebook page, their website, and posters, hard copy posters throughout the city. All of the funds requested will be applied to the operational expenses, such as paying rent, and utilities, and insurance. And you'll notice that in the ACAP budget document, they had only reported on the amounts that they were requesting, but they had a separate budget item that was covering the budget for their entire season. So there was potentially a bit of I don't want to say confusion. I don't want to speak for anybody else's perception, but there was a risk of not seeing both of those documents. So just be aware that the amount that was reported in the CBC budget template is only a portion of the total operating budget. That said, we'll go around in comments. So the order that I have is Brenna, Donna, Yasmina, Miranda, and Larry. So we'll start with Brenna, and then next turn we'll start with Larry. Brenna.
Reading through, I didn't see too many issues. I guess I didn't get that note because I was looking at their ask for 4,000. Right? Okay. So
Oh.
yeah, that doesn't really impact anything. It's just a clarification that I got now, and I don't really have any other comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenna. Donna?
Can we have the summary spreadsheet either I forget what we did with it last week. If it was in the chat or something, I can't remember right now, but anyhow, that's just a note. I don't have any questions about this. Thank you.
Sure. Do you mean the summary of the scores?
Yes.
Okay, I will project that. Sorry about that.
Thank you. No
No
worries.
problem at all. Good question. So that puts us here in relation to our average scores. Maybe what I'll do is hide this column to make it all fit. There we go. All right, next, Yasmina. You're currently on mute, but I gathered by the shake of your head that you didn't have any extra comments. Great. Miranda.
Just appreciated the sincerity and the tone of this application, and really like the inclusivity, the genuine inclusivity that's communicated in the way that they operate.
Thanks, Miranda. Larry?
I thought it was a good application. This is one of the oldest performing arts organizations in the community. I think you'd classify it as major arts infrastructure. and boy, they were in trouble. I'm not sure where they're renting, but they need places to build sets and to rehearse and so on, and that's not easy to find. I noticed they didn't. There was no indication of whether they had applied for other grants, but we don't require that, I guess. That information. If they haven't, they should. And what else? I think that's it. I think it's an excellent application.
Thanks very much, Larry.
They didn't have current financials, and I'm not sure whether that was in the package. I didn't see it, but I didn't look for that one particularly
I'll defer to Alicia on that.
because we hadn't reached this one yet. But I don't think that matters because their budget is realistic, and I have some familiarity with these kinds of
I'm
operations.
sorry about that. I'm trying to find it here in the package to see what page, but I'm having some loading issues as the agenda is quite large. In the background here. Apologies.
They just had a very nice production, and I think they did very well. But that doesn't put them in on Easy Street. It just, and every time they do one of these productions, they roll the dice. Very expensive.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Thank
I'm
you.
quite able to pull it up. But I do have a document here. It seems to be a bit cut off. 1 second.
I see their year-end 2022 statement in the supporting documents, Alicia.
Do you happen to see what page that's on?
Well, I'm looking at the link that you sent us. I'm not looking at it from the actual, like a posted agenda. I just have it in the grouping of support materials. It has their board member listing, their year-end 2022 financials, their budget for Fiddler, etc.
Yes, I've seen it. Thank you very much. It's on page 292. It's just their year-end financials that you mentioned up to 2022. Would you like me to reach out and see if they have anything more current?
I don't need it.
They may, now that it's been several months since the end of the intake period, they might have something available, which I'm happy to do. So just let me know.
And on this, I would note that when I had initially done my scoring, I was confused by the project budget versus the operating budget. So I had rated it lower on the operating scale, but I'll be increasing my score to a 4 out of 5 on that front. But I can correct that for you later, Alicia. If there's no other, unless anybody else would like to adjust their scores. Okay, we'll move on to item 5.7, 5.8, which is an operations grant for Nicole Dibel's project, Piecing It Together, shows for year 1. So this is currently an unincorporated not-for-profit seeking to incorporate to continue small and medium-sized, diverse, accessible live music programming featuring local and touring artists with a focus on youth, newcomers, Black, Indigenous people of color, the LGBTQ2SQ community, and people with disabilities, requesting $20,698.35 for operating expenses. Their estimated attendance over the course of their year of shows is over 2,500, with, again, estimated participants exceeding 50. Similarly, they have also indicated that their application fulfills all of the cultural plan impact priorities. And for marketing, They include a unique website, social media, as well as an email newsletter for subscribers and physical posters and flyers that they will distribute within the community. With respect to the budget, funds will be used for the artistic producer's salary, for rent, internet, phone services, banking fees, print marketing, software subscriptions, board honoraria, artist fees for live music events, photo videographer fees, and corporation expenses, legal fees, and royalties. The one item that I had, actually, sorry, Alicia, I should have flagged this for you earlier. I might be wrong here, but just maybe this is for follow-up later. But I was reading this initially as about 37%, just shy of 37% of the operating costs. So it might only be eligible for 13,645, but I'd have to double check that to make sure I was interpreting that correctly. But apart from that, we open it for discussion. Larry, you're starting us off.
Well, incorporating as a not-for-profit is a good cause. This is a little different application. They get small performers to present at Algoma University. Is that the Speakeasy? Is that what it's called?
I believe so.
But also places like Lop Lops and Blasters, Sue Blasters. They're for-profit operations, and I don't know how that works. It's a little different, but there we are. I thought otherwise. I don't have any other comment.
Good comments, Larry. Miranda.
I thought that this proposal read as very well thought out with well-defined goals over the course of the project term that build on the success of the founders' previous ventures. Just scanning through my notes here, I think you encapsulated quite a few of the things that I had noted. I think that based on the past successes of Dryer Fire and the Gore Street Cafe, that the capacity and knowledge is here to make this project happen and to get the incorporation through. I did have questions about whether the OAC contribution in the budget is confirmed or pending, but those aren't necessarily questions that we are asking in the process at this time. So flagging that for something to consider later. Also think the letters of support are a really nice touch, showing that people within and beyond the community have been really moved by Nicole's work and have a lot of support for this initiative. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Next, I have Yasmina. Oh, did we lose? Oh, no,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay. I have nothing else to add. I think that Larry and Miranda and you already captured everything, so.
Great. Thank you very much, Yasmina. Donna?
I have a question about revenues. I have just looked again, and I am scouring this budget. And perhaps I missed in something that I read because it is a week and a bit since I last read this. But I'm not seeing any revenues associated with this initiative. And can somebody, Sean, have you seen or Alicia, am I missing that somewhere? Like, are these performances at no cost? Because there's the artist fees for doing the performances, etc. But is there?
I don't have it right in front of me. I'm sorry. Alicia, do you have a quick answer?
I don't have a quick answer, but I'm looking through the agenda to see if it was included here, if it was just overlooked, or if it's not been provided.
Great. I will also look up an answer.
Okay, because I think that's a significant part of a budget for something like this, which is to understand, what the expected revenue would be, if there is expected revenue, and if there isn't, I guess why not? I also have a note here about, or just looking, I don't recall any other applications, and I don't think we have a policy around it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it because it does happen in some cases. But there is money included here for an honorarium for a board of directors. In my experience, I have never seen a municipal, if you will, or a not-for-profit or whatever board of directors where there's some type of remuneration for that. That's just something I did happen to note.
Mhm.
It's not very common. It's not very common, Donna. There are some, but mostly government boards, meaning the government agencies that actually have some compensation for the board members. But small organizations like that, or they're not even incorporated yet, typically do not have any financial, compensation for the board members. Boards are voluntary, and I don't know, as part of the incorporation, like I have never done that, so I don't know. Is it necessary to have the bylaws? And that's where it should be clarified.
Thanks, Yasmina. I see Larry's hand, but we're going to go to Brenna first, but we will come to you after Larry. Brenna.
Hi, hi. I looked through the application and I agree with some of the ideas, but what I see when I read through is a nonprofit connector between artists and revenue. So I see her functioning as a production individual who connects niche markets of musicians and performers and connects them to the business so that they have opportunities for revenue. And I don't think that they might be personally taking a lot of that revenue home, but that might not be as clear, and I might be wrong, but that's kind of how I interpret it, as a networking or a business support for artists. But looking over it and knowing that they serve a certain niche population, I thought it was a great application, and I think it's something that's necessary to keep going in our community. So.
Thanks, Brenna. Larry, and then I think I have a clarification.
I don't think if you're a director of a nonprofit, which they are not yet, they're not incorporated right now. So there are no rules against who they pay what. But I don't think you can remunerate directors of a nonprofit. They can have an employee, of course. They can have an artistic director, and maybe that's what this gal is. But the revenue thing, I think, is an important question. The reason I raised the observation about, some of the acts being done at Lop Lops and Sue Blaster as two examples that I saw there was that they're doing it for profit-making organizations. So people who watch them will be paying Sue Blasters or Lop Lops. We don't know what the split is. It can't be for free, but there's got to be some revenue somewhere, and I think we should maybe put this on the table until we know more about that.
Thanks, Larry. I wanted to clarify one question about the revenues. You're correct that there isn't a unique revenue spreadsheet or detail in the package. However, there are funding sources indicated for each of the expenses. So there might have been an interpretation that the dollar value of expenses is reflected in terms of the revenues outlined in under the column of funding source and funding type. We see there's a in-kind amount under ineligible project costs that is included, and under event venue rental fees, and a few other spots. So the based on that, though, I did look at the total requested, the total project costs, and the 20% that's eligible is $16,747.67, as opposed to the requested 20,000 and change. So just a clarification on that. One thing that I would just remind the committee of is that though we have taken the approach of scaling back grants based on scores, you can also add to some of the criteria. For instance, you could say there are some things that we're not comfortable funding, so we will, not fund this particular item, right? Now that might be taken care of in the sense of they're only eligible for 16,747 compared to the 20,000. But that's at the committee's discretion. Donna.
Has everyone else had a chance to make their comments? Did we get through everyone?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I just like some clarification then based on what you said. So are these performances for which the artists are receiving some type of remuneration, whatever pot it comes out of based on the budget, are the performances for free for the audience?
So
the audience that goes to Lop-Lops or Sue Blasters or wherever they're going to go, are they paying to see these artists, or this package of expenses is presenting these artists and there's no charge to the audience?
I'll recognize Miranda in case she has an answer to that question.
I did notice that there is an item in the budget related to ticket sales. So I imagine that means that there is ticket revenue for the series.
Miranda, where did you see that?
If you look at the ACAP budget, and I just need to scroll up on the page here. Bear with me for just a moment. I think it's on page 340. There's $2,000 noted there as the expense for lighting and sound technicians for larger shows, and it indicates that would be coming from ticket sales. So I think what Sean said regarding revenues and expenses and matching those up looks like that's the way that this budget has been outlined.
Okay, so there's no like line item here anywhere that says we expect to sell X numbers of tickets at X dollars per ticket, etc. And this offsets the, okay, just looking for, thank you.
Oh, no. Thank you for posing the question. And thank you for the clarification. Yasmina? You're on mute, just so you know.
Sorry, I have to go. And also the next item on the agenda is the one that I would be leaving anyway for.
Well, do you want to
Conference.
just declare a conflict now and then
Yeah, and then kind of leave.
we'll put
Yes,
you
because
in a different room and then we can do
no,
that.
I have to actually leave I actually have to leave the building here.
Yes, no worries.
Yeah, you can put me, wherever, because the next item is the conflict of interest. So
Great. So we'll put you in we'll say goodbye and we'll put your
Yes.
virtual presence in a breakout room. And then
Sounds good.
we'll quorum after that. Thanks, Yasmina.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Yasmina is in the waiting room.
Great. What brilliant timing. That is great. Okay, so we can squeeze one more in. Sorry, Larry?
Yeah, I think we should ask because I see they have, I am looking at that budget. I hadn't noticed it before. I must have been half asleep by then. But they have fees for artists, but then they also have a cost for billeting and I think food and you know other expenses. So how do they pay it? Are they just are they a booking agent? Or do they take the venue over and collect something from whoever comes in? I think we should know that.
We can put that in a note for follow-up, just so we have clarity. Thanks, Larry. It's a good suggestion.
I don't think we would fund uh, a show at a local pub, a for-profit pub. I'm not sure that we would do that, would we? If it was,
I believe that we have actually.
have we?
I believe so. If we're looking at the Sioux Blues Society, often they do works in combination with charitable giving, but often they will have for-profit shows where they bring somebody in, and that, yes, and ultimately
But if, for example, Reggie's had a bluegrass performer or something come in and they booked them and they took in the money, but then they wanted a grant.
I think in this case, I'll defer back to what Brenna had said earlier. The way that I've interpreted this is that it's more of a connection piece, like potentially for a nonprofit organization to act as a connector in the arts, to facilitate to performance of music. That's how I read this. I don't see this person profiting.
And I think that your analogy to the Sioux Blues Society is a good one, in that it's a not-for-profit that sort of orchestrates that in a private space, but where the musicians are still compensated and there's still ticket revenue and so on.
And in specifics, they've had performances at Sioux Blaster, where this is. So I mean, I see those as being very much the same.
I think we can move forward, especially since Yasmina is in the waiting room. It's best for us to move on to the item on which she has a conflict. So this is Confluence from Adriano de Scherbo. So this is an unincorporated collective with the objective of creating an immersive art installation to promote a deeper awareness about the truth of the past and explore paths to reconciliation in the future, particularly between Indigenous and settler peoples. The installation has been confirmed for the Art Gallery of Algoma in 2024, and they're requesting $10,000 with an estimated attendance exceeding 2,500 people and estimated participants over 50 as well. For the impact categories, they've indicated that this will contribute to the economic social diversity of Sault Ste. Marie through the development of arts, culture, and heritage products and tourism, that will promote effective, meaningful, and equitable community engagement and consultation processes, that will provide mentorship and participatory opportunities for youth, diversity, and historically underrepresented groups in the community, and foster community connections, partnerships, and networks. For marketing, they expect to draw on the promotional channels of the Art Gallery of Algoma, as well as Village Media, which has indicated support researching, as well as they are researching currently social media strategies for promotion. The funds from ACAP that I requested are assigned to cover costs of the lighting technician for the installation. Though I did note there was a small discrepancy, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Alicia, on of about $1,000 between the cost of lighting and what was requested. But again, that's a comparatively small change given the amounts that we have to distribute. Who's next? Do we begin with Brenna? I think Brenna had the last word last time.
Okay, I really enjoyed reading through this application. Some really interesting methods, and public art is really great for everything. I wish I knew a location because I can picture it at the new Every Child Matters Park. I can picture it. I'm not sure if it's going to go in the public art park. within the feasibility study at the Art Gallery of Algoma and have it within that new, but I'm not sure of that. So everything's aligned except when you add a place, it really brings it home. So that's all I wish I knew. Otherwise, I think it's an amazing project and they've got great partners. So I think it's a great application.
Thanks, Brenna. I saw Alicia's hand go up there with, I think, a point of clarification.
Just in terms of the location, I believe the installation plan is for the Art Gallery of Algoma, which is why Desmina had to declare a conflict with this application.
Thanks, Alicia. Next, I have Donna.
Similar to a question I think Miranda asked about a previous application, is this is a, you know, there's $130,000 roughly project, and there's a number of a lot of what appears to be in-kind support, which is beautiful to see, but there's also a lot of items here, Canada Council for the Arts grants and other things. And I guess the question would be, do we know, are these confirmed or pending or in the application process or whatever? Do we know anything about that, Alicia?
With respect to the application, I believe that those are all in progress. They've been submitted, but there's been no feedback yet in confirmation.
Okay. And for clarity, and I do seem to recall that this might have come up in the last meeting that we had, are our grants contingent on receipt or successful receipt of any of the other grants, like in order to pull off the whole project?
Sorry, I'm going to defer to Sean on that if that's okay, because that's really a committee discussion, I believe. You can see that I don't have anything in our guidelines that indicates that.
Yeah, and I would just repeat the same thing, basically, that we haven't made that contingent in the past. Although when basically anytime a recipient is awarded the grants, they are generally, they don't receive the full amount that they request, so they are always asked if they can still carry out the project. So we've had, I think, one case of it was either a return, actually, I think we might have had one return and one deferral request, where it was the committee's decision ultimately whether they could defer to another year. And the committee at the time did decide to accept a deferral of the project to the following year. I think that was sort of around COVID too. So, but my memory might be a bit patchy there.
Thanks.
No problem. But important questions in terms of sustainability and of any project. Yeah. Miranda.
Thanks for asking that question, Donna, because it was on my list for this one too. My notes say it's a really well-considered project with a thoroughly researched and well-written proposal and application. There is a diversity of funding sources being sought for this project. There is a lot of in-kind support, which, as Donna says, is really wonderful to see from a range of community supporters and names of businesses that I haven't seen in other proposals. So great to see that kind of diversification of support for the arts in the community. There's significant support represented here of elders throughout the project, signifying real relationships that are built over time and not just for a one-off project. I also love the vision and the determination to carry the project forward beyond the 2024 installation into other spaces and places and formats to make it truly accessible and meaningful and impactful. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Larry?
Yeah, I thought it was a fascinating project, a dynamite project. It's something new to Sault Ste. Marie. And I really like the Indigenous connection and the storytelling. And I think that's an important part of the reconciliation piece that Canadians have been trying to pursue. I gather I think they're following the model of the Monet exhibition, for example. It was at the AGO, you know, where you go into a series of rooms that you're surrounded by these huge paintings, Monet, and I think there are stories and so on. It does bother me though. It's an expensive project, and they really don't say much about their revenue. I would assume they're going to charge something to go and see it. Maybe not much. I think you've got to pay to get into the art gallery. I think we should know something more about their about their grants. I don't have to say anything more because it's already been raised. But if we give them the money, give them $10,000 or some part of it, and they don't get the grants, the project won't get done, and I would think we won't get our money back either.
Thanks, Larry. And one thing I would say we can follow up with, Alicia can follow up on in terms of the revenue request, although I imagine if it's an installation within the gallery, any fees that the gallery charges don't go to the installation. It would be revenue for the art gallery. Where if it's outside but on gallery, on the parcel of land that the gallery is on, that might be a different scenario. So maybe we'll get some clarity on that.
But the art gallery and this group could share. They could split revenues. I don't know what the art gallery charges right now, $3 or $4, I think. So they could charge $10 and split the proceeds.
Oh, sorry, Miranda.
Go ahead, Miranda. Yeah.
Just wanted to say that often the admission price ends up supporting the gallery's share of the costs for hosting the exhibition, which does often include Carfax fees. I'm not sure of the arrangement in this particular case, but in my experience, that's usually the instance.
Thanks, Miranda. You were going to clarify something, Alicia?
Yes, but I think that it's been taken care of.
Great. All right. Any further discussion or changes based on the discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5.10, and then upon discovering that Yasmina is no longer in the breakout room, we lose quorum. So we'll adjourn for the day. Thank you all very much for sticking with us and for moving us along and for sacrificing your lunch hour. We very much appreciate it. A point from Alicia before we go.
To ensure that we include a move to adjourn.
Oh, yes, move to adjourn. Miranda and Donna, I think I saw your hands first. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Motion carried.
Great, thank you very much.